You service more self-storage sites than even exist in the entire of the UK. That is
That's wild.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining our latest edition of our podcast. We're joined today with a very exciting episode. We're joined by Mason Levy from swivl. Mason is the CEO and co-founder of swivl in the US. And we've met a good few times in the US at things. So delighted to have you here. Thanks very much for joining.
Man, stoked to be here, Gavin. It's good to see you, even if it's over a digital screen. And excited for today's conversation.
Cool. So Mason, you set up swivl in 2017. I'd love to hear, because when we've talked in the past, we've talked a little bit about startups and kind of the challenges of that. I'd love to hear how swivl started.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's always fun to talk about the origin story. I think everybody's origin story is kind of a roundabout way that they became who they were supposed to become at some point in time. For me, it probably started when I was like 13. I was obsessing over, even probably before that, my father owned his own architecture business and ran his architecture business out of a home office for as long as I can remember. Growing up, like, work was going to your home office and working in front of a computer. That was the example that I had from my dad. And, I fell in love with technology, specifically consumer technology, and loved watching, Steve Jobs, get on stage and launch whatever the latest, greatest was at Apple events. And so coming out of school, I was actually working for Apple and realized, like, even though I was working for a company that I absolutely loved, that wasn't the path for me. Ultimately, I really enjoyed building, as Elon would quote, the machine behind the machine. So like the actual thing that allowed for the machines to grow faster or grow smarter, respond better. And, when Rodolfo, Kyle, and I kind of put our heads together, we were like, what are we going to build? I think there was two big, hairy problems that we wanted to go solve. One of them was, how do you make these machines continually learn? Another one was, how do you control the response mechanisms? And those two kind of core problems are still huge problems today. So 8 years later, as much has changed in AI, the same problems are still there, although, there's a lot more tooling in the market to allow for these things to be a little easier. And, fast forward, ultimately we got connected with a marketing firm. We were selling to everybody that would buy the service. And a marketing company actually introduced us to Extra Space Storage. And so we worked really, really closely with Extra Space in the early days to build a purpose-built machine learning model that helped get people from their marketing website to their conversion pages. That was the big KPI. And it worked really, really well. Fast forward, 6 years, and we're powering 4,700 facilities in the self-storage industry across the world. We did 7.5 million conversations in 2024. We're already surpassing 10 million this year. So we're, set to triple that number.
You service more self-storage sites than even exist in the entire of the UK.
That's wild.
It's an incredible stat. So congratulations.
Thank you.
What's been the hardest? We'll get into swivl in a second, but what would you say has been the biggest challenge for, setting up a company? You're starting from zero in 2017, 2018, getting your first 12 customers. What's the biggest looking back now on kind of 7 or 8 years? What has been the toughest part of it?
I love that. Let's, rack my brain. I think so one of my favorite quotes, this is a Reid Hoffman quote, the CEO of LinkedIn, or the founder of LinkedIn. He's not the CEO anymore. Is the greatest entrepreneurs know how to let fires burn. And I've really leaned into that my entire entrepreneur career. There's going to be challenges that always do. And I think, the idea is that as long as the problems are changing, and you're progressing forward, that's a positive thing. And so, early on, it seems crazy today in the world of ChatGPT and everybody talking to chatbots all the time. But early on, every turn around the corner when I tell people that we're building, the way that our AI manifests itself in the early days, we obviously power multiple channels today, including voice, email, SMS, was a web chat bot. And everyone and their mom would tell me that nobody wants to talk to a bot. like nobody wants to talk to these things. And so I think like that was the biggest hurdle early on, was just convincing people that this was something that was a value add in this business, right? Like you have customers across the globe that they want instant answers. They don't care if it's slightly robotic at the time. Like they're going to go to this chat ecosystem because, and again, I'm not as familiar with the UK market, but at least in the States, traditionally, these operators are real estate investors. We're going to put a billboard up right next to our facility, or there's going to be a phone number on the facility as you drive by it. And their acquisition strategy was that location based thing. They're banking on somebody walking in or making a phone call, right? And so the idea that like, oh, they're going to go to a website and talk to this AI system on a website in order to purchase was just kind of like, you had to get people over the hump there. I'd say that's like probably the biggest like market infiltration challenge that we had early on, was just convincing people that this was a viable thing that was going to happen. Obviously, there's a lot of technology challenges. Obviously, there's always sales challenges that arise. But I'd say that was kind of the big one. Was just like, is this something that is going to have staying power, not just in the self-storage industry, but across other verticals as well too.
So for anyone listening to this who doesn't know what Swivl does, what's the elevator pitch for Swivl? What does it do?
Yeah, I mean, we're on a podcast, so I'll be a little bit longer than an elevator pitch, but
like a very long elevator.
Yeah, we're an AI platform for self-storage operators. I like to think of us as an intelligence layer for your entire business, right? So we're going to power and be the first line of defense for answering the phones, doing outbound phone calls, sending SMS messages. That's for collections, for abandoned carts, for review or referral solicitation. We're obviously going to send out emails. And as we kind of already touched on, we're going to have a web chat bot there that's going to answer your most frequent questions. So somebody forgot their gate code, you've got an AI agent that's going to verify that this is the person they say they are, that they're in good standing, and provides that gate code. And then we also have a few other parts of our platform. We have a progressive web app powered by QR codes or sent out as a link via text message that allows for your most frequent actions that your customers might take to be there. A lot of our operators post signage across their facilities for this. That's called Spot. Spot also has a review piece of the puzzle, so you can land on a really nice landing page, allow for somebody to give you a 1 to 5 star review. It does referral mechanisms, whether that be B2C or C2C. So Gavin referring me, or B2C referrals, so a business down the street referring you to it. And then it also takes payment, right? So we integrate into the facility management system's payment gateway, give them a really nice interface, do a 2-factor authentication, and then take that payment and push it through the payment gateway. And then on the back end of this, we've got a ton of data sources, right? We're integrating into the facility management systems. We're integrating into CRMs, although we have our own CRM. We're pulling information from Google. We're pulling information from the website. And all of that is training our AI agents on the information that's necessary. And then kind of the last little component is, since day zero, when we were trying to figure out who we wanted to be when we grew up, we always believed that AI should be human in the loop at any point in time, whether it be a customer, whether it be an operator setting business objectives, or the AI system itself saying, hey, I want to get somebody involved in it. There should be a stop or a pause button. And so we've got an entire part of our platform that allows for the human to human connection to happen. And then machine learning models that do agent assist in that as well too. So we're a next generation or a modern CRM, a next generation contact center with, kind of reputation management listings features kind of on there as well too.
Wow. So one of the first things you said earlier on was that, you were always interested in kind of consumer products. You're interested in Apple. And from the way you've described that, it sounds like you're taking a huge part of the consumer interaction with the self-storage business and kind of taking that on and applying AI and applying your tools and your system to that. Would that be, is that a fair assessment?
Totally. We're a B2B2C platform, right? So we're obviously selling into operators, providing operators the tools that allow for them to do their job more efficiently. But ultimately, the people that are the highest users of our platform are customers, and so we're always thinking about the end customer, right? How do we make this easier for somebody that's renting and storing? Me myself, I'm a very big consumer of the product. Literally today, everything in my life outside of a couple of suitcases is in 3 storage units. It's been there for 5 months. It'll be there for another 9 months. This is not the first time in my life that I've done this. I've moved across the country multiple times, so I'm pretty nomadic. But I'm a big consumer, and storage has enabled me to do that. And so, I build technology that, or at least the experiences that, like, me as a consumer would love to utilize, right? Like, not that I forgot my gate code because it's my phone number, but like, it makes it really easy. So if I did, forget my gate code, or I needed to make a payment, like I don't have to sit here and wait on hold for 15 minutes to get an operator to take my credit card.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things you mentioned that I'm really interested to hear a little bit more about is you talked about phone calls. So you talked about outbound calls and so handling calls outbound, but also handling calls inbound. Is that AI, or is that some other part of a CRM that involves humans?
It is, everything in our platform is powered, at least as a first line of defense for AI. Now, we also give operators the ability to control this, right? I think that's one of our big differentiators is we've got a lot of bells and whistles and toggles and levers that operators can pull. And so, if an operator wanted to, during business hours when they have humans sitting around or store managers sitting around, wanted to be 100% live human chat, we would bypass our entire AI agent system. But, out of the box, our AI agents do answer the phone. Hey, welcome to the self-storage lab. How can I help you today? And, we'll go through, and we've got a number of different agents. One's a sales agent that helps with, finding the right unit for you, and then passes it off to our workflow platform to actually perform the move in and the rental part of our process. We've got a billing agent, so when we're doing outbound billing calls, it'll say, I'm here to confirm that I'm talking to Mason Levy. Yes, this is Mason. Hey, did you know you have an outstanding balance of $112? I didn't know that. I thought I was on auto pay. And it'll go through the entire 9 yards, hopefully ultimately getting you to a place where you're going to the payment portal to make your payment as well too.
And so I'm interested because I've been listening to a lot of stuff recently about AI call agents and the quality of them and how much they've come on over the past 6 or 12 months. How have you seen that? Has that been good enough in terms of providing that service for years for Swivl, or is this a recent development, the ability for AI to handle that at a high enough quality level?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of nuance to this because, like, the technology's been there for a really long time, right? For a really long time, we've been able to do, text to speech or speech to text, and then, do processing on it. Obviously, with GPTs coming into the market over the last couple of years, there's just been a boom in these technologies getting better and better and better. And so we've been answering the phone for operators for almost over a year and a half. We've seen vast improvements, and there's multiple parts of this layer, right? Your voice layer is just one piece of the puzzle. The voices that you can go and plug into there are really great. And 18 months ago, it was very, very robotic. You could pay for some premium voices, but it'd be really, really expensive and not probably worth the money. Today, that price has come down. Not as much as some of the cheaper voices, but it's come down a lot. The text to speech piece of the puzzle, the ability to stream responses. So in the past, you'd have to send an entire packet to, say, the voice tech layer, the speech or the text to speech layer, and it would have to synthesize all of that at once. And so there's a latency problem. Now you can, like, literally stream sentences and words continuously to that layer. And so there's been a lot of improvements even just over the last 6 months. A lot of what you're seeing in the market is people just wrapping ChatGPT, right? Or wrapping Claude or, OpenAI's API. I think the big piece of our puzzle is because we're deeply integrated and we've built this huge, platform that allows for operators to control this. We've got a lot more ability than just like prompting, the voice AI to like respond appropriately, right? Like we're able to contextually prompt it, we're able to cut it off and give it guide rails. So if you start talking about the weather, or you want to know what kind of discounts are available, like if it's outside of the purview of what you're trying to accomplish, like it will 100% kick it out of that workflow or of that agent and push it over into like very structured, what we would consider deterministic pieces of the puzzle. And so uh, this is a long-winded answer to say, like, the technology has come a long way recently that makes it a lot easier to do a lot of things, but you still need to have a lot of infrastructure in place to do it correctly.
Yeah, it's always, from when we've spoke in the past, it's always sounded like you've been building Swivl with like you kind of the long term in mind. Kind of, you're not just kind of wrapping something up. You're actually thinking, and it's interesting again just to think about. Early on, you talked about your interest in consumer products and consumer experience. You're thinking about the consumer experience. So when you're talking about some of this stuff, if as a customer phoning up a self-storage business that's using your Swivl service, the experience that they're going to have on a call there, can you explain what's the difference in the consumer experience on a Swivl product versus maybe something else that's not been built sort of from the ground up in the same way?
Yeah, I think one, from a consumer perspective, it's going to be the depth, right? The ability for this to go actually perform action. And so, like, if I give a couple of examples, right, because we're fully integrated into facility management systems, somebody that's asking for an account balance, like in real time, we're going to go out and do an account balance. We're going to actually take that phone number, we're going to send that phone number to the facility management system and say, hey, is this a phone number on file? Okay, great. Oh, we saw Gavin. We already have all the mechanisms to pull all of Gavin's information into our platform now. Oh, Gavin's past due and his bill is X. Well, like now we have the ability to go out and do a workflow. And I think, again, from a consumer perspective, one of our big differentiators, because we are thinking about the full engagement, is we're not just voice. So now we're able to send a text message. That text message links to either the website or to a spot landing page. And our platform is built to be completely multi-channel. And this is super powerful. We can correlate that phone call to the user that's on your website engaging with the chatbot and actually engage between the voice and the chatbot on the website. So, if you take a slightly different example and you say, we're doing a sales call, we answered, somebody says, hey, I want a 10 by 10. Well, we believe that, like, actually renting over the phone is not the best experience. Even if you're talking to a human, there's still things that you want to see and make sure that are happening. And so we could send a text message, open up the website. You've got this beautiful website that has a great checkout flow that you've been working really, really hard on. Well, we just want the website chat widget to be the thing that controls the website. So, like, maybe we pull you to a size visual, and from there we confirm over the phone that this 10 by 10 is the size that you want. Well, we might automatically change the website without the customer needing to click a button to that unit mix, right? Showing them immediate pricing. And so you're really having this true multi-channel experience. So there's just a lot more depth to a full engagement platform than just like, hey, we wrapped ChatGPT, or we're going out to 11 Labs or Bland.ai, and we prompted it with a paragraph or 6 paragraphs worth of content around, hey, you're a self-storage manager and here's the rules that you're having to follow.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm going to really hit on, and I don't know how important this is in the UK, but like in the States, state to state have different regulations. So like in California, how you do collections is different than how you would do it. I'm in Texas right now than in Texas. And so another big piece of this is like making sure that the grouping of your locations across your portfolio also have variance to it, right? So one AI agent needs to know the nuances of not only the locations, but the state that you're in, so that you're matching regulatory policy too. So again, we go to like reliability is kind of a big word that we go to. And this is not just reliability of the technology, but reliability that the answers that we're providing are factual, that the answers that we're providing are legal, et cetera. And so I think that those are big differentiators that we provide, because I mean, I've been doing this for over a decade, and the 10,000 hour rule. I know the limitations of conversational AI. Us as a team, we've been thinking about conversational AI problems for a very, very, very long time. And so, that multi-channel thing is very complex. It's something that maybe doesn't immediately come to the mind. The flashy, shiny new object that is conversational AI and using ChatGPT's voice technology, is not the thing that we're getting distracted by. It's the problem that we're trying to solve. And at the end of the day, to go back to the point that you made, we're obsessing over what that end customer's experience is, and not going, hey, you know what? Sometimes the flashy new sexy thing is not always the thing that needs to be used to solve the problem. Like, let's solve this problem in the right way. And if something comes along that's better to help us solve that problem, then we'll go and do that as well too.
So I'm really interested in your answer to this next question, because I think of everyone I've spoken to, you're going to give me the most interesting answer. If you think forward 3 years, like what is the role of AI in self-storage, and what's left for humans?
Oh, there's so much left for humans. I think that's like, there, let's take it I'm going to answer the question about self-storage specifically, but I do want to kind of like nerd out just for a half second, because so GPTs were invented by Google in 2017, right? We've been engaging with GPTs for a very long time. If anybody here that's listening or watching has used Google Docs for more than 5 years, we were used to pre-writing words. It might only have been 1 or 2 words that it predicted, but ultimately that was a GPT that was predicting the next word in the sentence. The thing that changed from like the invent of this in 2017, and like OpenAI coming out with ChatGPT in 2022, I think late 2022, was really just the size of data centers and the size of these models being trained, right? And so not much has changed, and I give that context to be like, and it's actually really timely because of the OpenAI just launched GPT-5, within the last 7 to 10 days of the recording of this podcast. The idea with a lot of these businesses, if we continue to scale the size of our models, the size of the data centers, the number of parameters that we're pushing into there, at some point in time, we might achieve AGI, right? Artificial general intelligence. And for a long time, the last couple of years, the size from the first model at OpenAI to 4.0 that all of us have fallen in love with over the last year, the increase in size have been given drastic improvements to the model. They become less hallucinating. They become able to go out and search the web. They've been adding all these things, but we've kind of plateaued, right? In a way. And you've got two schools of thought. One school of thought is that if we continue to make these things bigger, there's going to be some inflection point where it just becomes artificial general intelligence. And the other school of thought that is, ultimately we need a new type of model. So GPT being the type of model, we need an Einstein level mathematical breakthrough that really changes these things in order to be there. And I'm more on the like Einstein level breakthrough. I think GPTs are amazing. They have a lot of strengths and a lot of weaknesses, and they're going to be a really great tool in our tool belt as data scientists and people that are building technology, but they're only going to take us so far. And so I'd say that to say, like, in 5 years, I don't know that much is going to change. Like, yes, maybe we're on GPT-8 by that time, and it's going to be really smart and do some really cool things. But I don't think it's like, hey, reasoning and taking over the world or anything like that. And then to go back to like, okay, well, how does this impact operators? Well, like, one, I think I've always thought of AI in the self-storage space as this is taking the most repetitive task off of an operator's plate so that you can have the most human moments, right? And I'm a little bit of an outlier. We can use me as an example since I'm a large self-storage customer, but I think historically most self-storage customers are finding storage because there's some big life event that's happening. I mean, for me, it's just a move, right? It's not like this. It's an exciting thing, and maybe that the operator that I'm storing with could spend the time to congratulate me on my next chapter. But like maybe I'm storing stuff because I'm having my first or second child and I'm needing to take that extra bedroom or that extra office and convert it into a nursery. Well, like that human moment, now we have the ability to slow down, smell the roses, and like congratulate that individual. And I guarantee you, if you do that and you take that time to have that human moment, one, that's what we all freaking crave. Like that's what we want. We don't want a robot doing that. We want a human doing that with us. And two, I'm never going to go store anywhere else for the rest of my life, right? And you could take that to you have a problem, right? Somebody's having a payment issue, somebody lost their job, like you know they're struggling to just get into their unit. Maybe it's not a financial thing, they're just having some problem in your business, and like you taking the time to have a human moment. Again, if I go back to Apple, I worked for Apple. Acknowledge, align, assure. Say, hey, I acknowledge that you're having this problem. Align, I understand that having this problem is extremely frustrating. When I've had this problem in the past, I've been frustrated. And then assure, you know what, I'm going to do everything that I can do to resolve this problem for you, and the outcome's going to be there. Taking that human moment and doing that simple thing, you just created a moment of delight from something that was frustrating to somebody. And again, that impact is that they're going to tell their friends about the experience that they had. They're going to tell their family, and they're going to always come back and rent. So I think there's a lot of human moments that are here. uh, we crave that, right? I don't necessarily need a human to give me my gate code or to help me make my bill, to pay my bill. But if I'm having an issue that can't be resolved really quickly, like let me get someone that can have empathy for the thing that I'm going through.
Yeah, so AI will free up the time from the repetitive tasks and make time for the important things, which especially as as more and more goes into kind of, as less things become about human connection, kind of the more you crave it. So in a few years' time, we'll have more time, hopefully, because we're not doing these other tasks, more time to create that connection, that bond. I think that's a nice vision for where this goes.
Yeah, and there should always, again, human in the loop. There should always be an option for this, right? I think this is going to allow for not just in self storage, but operators across different verticals to really differentiate themselves, right? Like, hey, we're not automating this and this and this, right? Like we're still human at it. Or it's just going to allow for people to differentiate and have those different experiences and to choose. And I think that's a really great way to think about this. Like let's be glass half full, and think about how this improves our quality of life, and not the opposite way, in the sense that we don't want to be doomsday, that the robots are just going to come over and like Elon Musk might say, to continue to quote him, that we're just like cats to the robots as they take over the world.
Yeah, let's hope not. Let's hope not.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're an operator listening to this and kind of wondering where to get started with AI, what's your advice to them?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say like number one is in a day to day. I mean, I'm using both Chat GPT and Claude, depending on the task that I'm trying to do. Like number one, the easiest way to get started is go open a free account on one of these things, and like instead of going to Google, like you've got to retrain your reflex. So like the next time you have a question or a problem, instead of going to Google or opening up a blank Word document, like, train that reflex to go to whatever that preferred AI is, and like just type it in there. Right. A simple example is like maybe you're reviewing a legal document, or you're trying to come up with ideas for promotions to get people to move in. Well, like just go have a 25-minute conversation. And I think in this, like, don't just one shot prompt it, right? Like go back and forth with it, just like you would if like me and Gavin are having a conversation, right? Like let's dig in, let's poke holes in it, ask it to revise things, and just see what happens, right? I think you're going to be really surprised at the output from that piece, right? I think that's one of the biggest benefits of these things, is that blank state problem is almost solved. Like you never need to start with a blank page, right? There's always going to be something there, because the systems can help you get there. When it comes to AI and the business operations, like again, maybe take your financials. I would pay probably for a pro plan, so that those financials are not being just sent everywhere across the internet. And upload the financials to one of these systems, and ask the questions about how do you increase revenue. How do you get more people onto auto pay. And get some ideas from that. Obviously, there are going to be partners like Swivl in the market to help with communications problems. So if you're looking for a modern contact center and a next generation, CRM, we're here to help, answer questions, kind of show you what that is. But there are other tools out there too. So like maybe, this is again not using even generative AI. This is tabular models, but dynamic pricing models, right? That are pulling in information from your competitors across the market, looking at what your inventory mix is, what the occupancies rates are, and dynamically changing, the rates. I think that's a really great place to start as well too, if that's a problem that you're trying to solve. And so I just would start like, hey, what's the thing that is the biggest headache for me in my business? Let's go to ChatGPT. Let's start having a conversation with ChatGPT about it. If it comes to communications, or if it comes to pricing and increasing pricing, like let's go find a vendor and a partner, and start to talk to them about what best practices are there.
Jason, thank you so much. It's been absolutely fascinating. Your knowledge in AI is amazing. I could learn from you for hours. So I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us with this and share some of your knowledge. And if anybody's listening wants to find out more about Swivl, where do they go?
Yeah, you can find us online, tryswivl.com. We're a startup, so we couldn't pay for one of the vowels. So that's tryswivl.com. You can email me directly. That's just mason@tryswivl.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. We have presence, as a business on Instagram and Facebook as well too. So, wherever you're wanting to engage, we're going to have some type of engagement there.
Great. Thank you, Mason.
Gavin, I appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much.
At Stora, our mission is to help our customers build the best self-storage businesses. Self-Storage Explained is here to try and bring you the best from inside and outside the industry to help you grow your business. If you want to find out a bit more resources, go to stora.co to sign up for a demo or find out more, or you can go to stora.co/academy for lots more resources, including our financial model and other in-depth guides to setting up and growing your business.